Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Podcast Demastered. I'm Chelsea, and I'm here with Wade as always. And what a year it's been. We are finally getting to the end of 2022.
Feels like it just started almost.
I know. It's like this year's gone by in a blur. But I feel like so much has happened this year, so much stuff that we've watched, games we've played, things we've read. So for this episode, we're just going to kind of get into, our highlights of the year, things that we enjoyed, also some things that we did not enjoy. And a lot of things we're going to talk about, it's just kind of in general, what we have done over the year. Some of the things are actually new things that actually came out this year. Others are things that are a bit older, like maybe games that were in our backlog or older movies that we watched for the first time. So we'll just kind of go through all the different categories and we'll just share them with you all. And, we would love to hear from you guys as well, what you enjoyed from the year. And I think at the top of this episode too, I want to mention, just a shout out to all of our listeners. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast this year. Whether you've been listening to us from the beginning or if you started listening to us this year, we're really grateful for you guys. And also, we wanted to give a special shout out to everybody who has downloaded our Hocus Pocus 2 episode. We hit over 1,000 downloads on that episode, so wow. Thank you all. Thank you all for listening, and we hope you continue to listen to us in the new year. And, as always, we'd love to chat with you, so you can find us on any of our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Pod Demastered. If there are things that you want us to discuss in an upcoming episode, feel free to message us there, or you can send us an email at demasteredpodcast@gmail.com. But as for now, I think we're going to get into our least favorites and favorites of the year.
Oh, yes. It's been such a good year to be a nerd, I think. We've gotten so many cool things on all fronts, and it's just next year is already looking pretty good as well. But
Definitely.
we'll get into next year later.
Yes.
We get through this year first.
Yes. Well, I think, we should always end on a highlight. So I think we should just kind of start off with what was the worst of the year?
Oh, let's talk about those worsts, our least favorites.
Yes, true. Worst of the worst.
Now, this one is always hard for me because you ask me my least favorite anything at any given moment, and I'm just like, oh, everything's pretty cool. Like, I like everything. It's fine. But I did actually have a couple things that were not so cool this year. And I know Chelsea shares my ire in one of those things. It unfortunately affects her more than it affects me at the moment, but we were a little pissed about it nonetheless. Chelsea, you want to toss out what that thing is?
Okay. Hogwarts Legacy. I feel like we've talked about this game since the beginning of this podcast. It was one of my most anticipated games, and I kept saying it like a broken record because it was gonna, come out, kept getting pushed back, and then a couple months ago, we finally got a release date. It was gonna come out in February, and then what did they decide to do? They decided to just a week or two ago it's been?
Yeah, very recently, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's still coming out for people, on the date they originally said, but they're like, oh, but wait. If you're a PlayStation 4 user, an Xbox One user, or a Switch user, it's going to come out much later for you guys.
Much later.
I mean, to be honest, for the Switch.
That's fair.
Yeah, the Switch, they didn't have an official date for that, but that's still really late. Mm-hmm. What is it, July or something?
Yeah.
But no.
It's way later than these other two guys, which is later than the current gen stuff.
I don't even want to talk about that.
Yeah, it's such a bummer because, we were going to hop into that early access and we were just going to tear that game apart. We were so ready and now, we just don't know, really. So,
Yeah, I was planning on playing the PS4, but with a release date of April 4th, it's just disappointing. I understand, it's not that I don't understand where they're coming from with this and everything, but this game has been in development for years, and it always seemed like it was their intention to release on all systems, and then just to kind of go back and say, oh, well, we haven't really been working on those older systems, so we're going to spend more time working on that, which is, cool, it'll help make not so much of a buggy game, but I'm just nervous about the quality, because we've been seeing what it's like on a PS5. That's what all the gameplay has been from, and it looks so smooth, so nice, and just, I don't know, Hogwarts Legacy, you've been disappointing me.
Well, hopefully a couple months from now, hopefully we'll be having a different conversation.
Yes, very true. That's what we can hope for. Change my mind game.
Well, to go along with that, talking about people disappointing other people, something this just happened. I mean, like just days ago. So this year is the 35th anniversary of Final Fantasy, which is bonkers. That's older than me. That's crazy. And they held like a little stream. They did some cool things, but they didn't really they didn't have any announcements. They're like, well, we hope you're looking forward to Final Fantasy 16. We have the Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy game coming out in a couple months. Like, we hope you're ready to get that. And then they were like, oh, well, you remember those Pixel remaster games that came out like a ways back on Steam? Well, we'll bring those to consoles, I suppose. And it's digital, which is fine. We love digital games here. But they are doing like a limited release physical version, which is like $75 for 6
That's annoying.
Nintendo, Super Nintendo games.
Gosh.
And I mean, there's like a collector's version, which is super cool. It's like $250 or something, and it comes with some really nice things. Not nice enough for $250, I don't think. But the that physical limited edition, like just a regular game, it sold out in like minutes, and it was only through their website.
Course.
And if you've never had any experience with Square Enix shipping, that's a $75 game with a $20 to $30 shipping charge. So
Ew.
you're paying about $100 for these 6 games. These 6, 35 to 25-year-old games.
They want fans to have infinite amount of money, apparently.
Yes. Well, Square's really good about that. Actually, I'll add on to that in just a second, because something else was announced that I know you'll be excited for, and then I'm going to break your heart about it.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's what I'm here for. So now they came back like a day later, I think, and they were like, well, we have some more copies of that regular standard edition, and then it once again sold out in just like minutes. So I'm hoping that they see that and go, okay, maybe we'll just put this into like normal rotation then. Like, we'll make it a regular game and we'll actually make some copies of it. Hopefully, because people will pay for it. I mean, people will get the digital version anyway. Like, if they can't get the physical, they'll get the digital. But people want the physical. So, but anyway, the other thing they did, they announced a Kingdom Hearts vinyl collection.
Oh.
It's 3 discs. It has songs from Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 and 3 with an additional song from 4 that was used in the trailer.
Okay.
Like The Darkness of Reality or something like that. I think that's what the song is called. And this collection looks so freaking cool. Like, oh my god. And it's like $160 for 3 vinyls. Mm-hmm. And that's all. It doesn't like come with like other special items or anything like that. It's just 3 vinyls in a box.
They're just hanging it over our heads, just teasing like, you want the awesome music we have in these games? Well, you better be ready to fork over all the money.
Square.
Square.
But, we all have a love-hate relationship with Square. That's not new.
Yeah.
That's just how it works. Mm-hmm. That's just how it works. Okay, your turn. Sorry.
Oh. Well, then, yeah. Well, I guess I'll kind of continue off of video games. It's not a game from Square.
Here we go.
Now, this game, I think it came out in 2021. I remember seeing the trailer, I think, at least at the Summer Game Fest when it was 12 minutes.
Oh, the game called 12 Minutes.
Yes, the game called 12 Minutes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm on the same page as you. Okay.
Yeah. The one that had voice actors of Willem Dafoe, James McAvoy, and, oh no, I'm totally blanking out, Daisy Ridley. And it looked interesting. It was kind of like a top-down view, and it kept showing like a husband and wife like getting together for dinner, and then like a guy coming in and trying to attack them, and the same thing kept repeating. You had the same 12 minutes happen over and over again. And so it seemed kind of interesting, like, oh, you only have that certain amount of time limit, and you're trying to figure out like how to change the outcome, what's actually going on. So I was like, I finally got to play that game. No, I hated that game by the end. It was such a cool premise, but the game itself was disappointing. It was like the idea of the game was better than the execution. Where they went with the story was just disgusting to me. It was so lackluster and just, I don't even want to talk about that game. Listeners, if you have played that game and you also didn't like it, please let me know. I want to share that same.
Chelsea needs some vindication.
Yes. But just, that's all I'm going to give it. I'm not going to get into spoilers of that game. It's just ew.
There's some trigger warnings in it, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Because once I got halfway through the story, I was like, oh, ew, we are going this direction. Really? This is what you thought would happen in a cool game like this? Okay, fine. I will at least finish it to the end, but I did not enjoy it. Yeah, so that was that. Now, are there any other terrible things that come to mind for you? I know we talked a lot about video games, disappointing news, disappointing games, but...
I'll throw a comic in there.
Okay.
And this breaks my heart a lot, but the Amazing Spider-Man comic series this year, not been feeling the vibes. We had a story to wrap up like the most recent run that led into the new run, and just like between the two things, I'm just like, I'm waiting for something cool to happen, I think. Or like mysteries to be solved. Needless mysteries at that. Things that have been held over our heads since the series began. I'm just like, I don't know.
It just needs to hurry up and get somewhere interesting.
Yeah, I'm used to Spider-Man, like, moving along, like, doing stuff and, you know, like, answering questions and having more questions being asked as a result kind of thing. But, like, this new run, I feel like we're just in a constant state of, well, yeah, there's this one question, and that's it. Like, we're not moving towards a conclusion on figuring out what happened kind of thing. But it's going to get brought up all the time. And also, like, at the end of the last one, like, Peter and Mary Jane were getting back together. He was trying to propose to her, and their relationship was back on track. The start of this one, it's like 6 months later, and she has, like, a different husband, like, with children. And it's 6 months later.
That escalated.
Yeah, well, and the children are, like, multiple years old.
Oh.
Like, what is happening? Like, and stepchildren are a thing. Like, okay.
Yeah.
However, the daughter looks just like Mary Jane. Like, and like, her and Peter just, like, aren't talking. And, like, I don't know, like, I need to know. Drive me crazy. I'm not having a good time over here.
No. I better give you answers soon. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We shall see.
I do have one other downer to mention, though. It's basically of my own fault that I watched it, but... So, it's it's kind of funny how I got to watching it. So, basically, I know I've talked a little bit about my letterboxing adventures on this podcast. We mainly talked about it in our New Year's resolutions episode, but basically, if you're familiar with geocaching, letterboxing's cooler. But sometimes there are clues where you have to either, like, do further research or, like, reference something else in order to find out where the box is hidden. So it kept referencing this, like, movie. And I was like, oh, maybe I need to watch this movie in order to figure out what this clue is to find this box. Well, I clearly found the wrong movie. Let's just put it that way. So I watched this movie called Sudden Fury. It came out in 1997. This was, like, a really low budget, like, I mean... Honestly, props to anybody who can make a movie, but sometimes movies are just, like, downright terrible, and it's not everybody's going to enjoy everything. Yeah, so this movie took place in, like, I guess it was considered Southeast England, and it was definitely like these friends made this movie. It was on Tubi, and it was basically just, like, fighting over drugs and stuff, and every other word was an F-bomb. And I was just like, also they had such thick accents. I was like, I don't know what anybody is saying. I don't even know if there's a plot to this movie. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I sat through like an hour and a half film. I wouldn't recommend doing that.
Didn't help, I'm guessing. Didn't help you find your geocache?
Nope, not at all. I was also wondering why in the world somebody
bad.
would know this obscure movie. So back to square one. But hey, at least I watched something new.
Unfortunate. Yeah, sometimes you take a turn and it goes to a dead end, I guess.
Yup. Yes.
All right, well, you ready to move into some
positives?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Get some fun things.
Yes.
Do we want to save our, like, best game for later? Like, do we want to move on past that for now?
I mean, if you want to save it for a little bit later, we can do that.
Yeah, mine won't be terribly shocking or anything. Like, I don't have some deep cut or anything like that, some indie banger that nobody's gonna know. So it's it's not a big deal.
Well, we could talk about our other two categories first and then get into our best game then.
Okay.
You want to do like the best art or style in a video game? You want to start with that one first?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
I'll do mine first because mine was kind of hard to like figure out, I suppose. Because a lot of the games that I played this year were just kind of like continuations of other games that really didn't have like some big crazy like unique art style, or they were just like you know, high powered realistic kind of settings and things like that. So nothing crazy on that front, but I did just start playing a game literally the other day. It's called Little Noah. And it's like this Little Noah, it's hard to describe. It's kind of like a Mega Man game, like a 2D side-scrolling action kind of thing. But like you collect like little creatures, and as you collect the creatures, those creatures become like your combo. But you can rearrange the creatures so you can like change your combos and stuff like that. And it's very Mega Man-esque in a sense of just get from A to B and fight the stuff between. But the art style specifically is, I'm pretty sure, is from the same group who does the Bravely Default games, which are Square RPGs.
Okay.
The art is it's so unique to them, but it is so cute at the same time. Like I saw the game, like the trailer when it came out like forever ago, and I just saw it and I was like, oh my god, like yes. And then it was on sale the other day, and I snatched it up so fast. I had forgotten about it, but then I saw it again and I was like, yep, that's mine. So I've been playing that a little bit, and it just makes me happy. A nice little world to be in.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cozy games.
Cozy games.
Yes. Well, I think the art style I really found unique. So I played a game earlier this year called Never Alone. I think it originally came out in 2014, and it's kind of like a puzzle platformer. But what's really interesting about it is that it was a video game developed in conjunction with the indigenous people, the Alaskan Natives, called the Inupiaq. And so they like met with their council, and they were looking for a way to just share more of their culture and stories. And so this game the art itself is almost inspired by their paintings, their sculpture work and everything. And it tells the story of this little girl called Nuna and her Arctic fox. And in between their kind of story, that's kind of almost like one of their stories from the past, they have actual interviews with the Inupiaqs, like, and their members. And so it's this really interesting sharing a culture and history, but it's a video game with the documentary style to it.
That is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
It was such a unique game. It was just kind of chill, kind of simple, but just it was beautiful to play.
Well, there's been such a good amount of those kind of games that have come out, like very simple to play games, but like the story they're telling is very like ambient, like it's all about the world around you and the people and things like that. It's not about how hard the game is. You're just doing this and that, but just everything else that you get out of the game though is just, there's so many games that lately that have been like that it just, what a good direction to take like these cozy simple games
and just tell these personal stories with them as well.
Yes absolutely Didn't you play was that the post game, like the Postman game where you're delivering letters?
Oh yes.
Wasn't that also very similar? Yeah,
very, very cozy, very chill. I'll be talking a little bit more about that one shortly.
Good. You know, we should have an episode that's just about cozy gaming.
Yes.
Why haven't we thought of that? Oh my gosh.
Well, now we will.
Let's make sure that gets on our list.
Yes, teasing. Yes.
Okay. Well, are we ready to move on to our next one?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay. Do we want to do our best in-game moment?
Let's do it.
Okay. So I had to think about this one a lot, and I really wasn't super confident about it because I did some things, like I replayed Final Fantasy IX And that game always gets me. Like, the amount of amazing moments in that game is just terrific. But that comes from a series where, like, they work on giving you those in-game moments that matter. So I decided to go instead for I went for the new Pokemon games, Pokemon Violet and Scarlet, because for once they included a story and characters that they really felt like they mattered. Especially like the last like quarter of the game, like where the story really intensifies. Some very mature themes, things like that, talking about death, stuff like that, things that don't happen in Pokemon games, death and loss, looking to the future, trying to figure out what you're supposed to do and stuff like that. Those are not themes in a Pokemon game, but the fact that they went for it and then it worked out so well, I'm gonna give it to that game this year.
Wow. Yeah, that's very interesting. That's cool that, that there's Pokemon games that have more depth to them, or at least you get a little bit of variety, and that's cool that it did a good job with the story, it seems.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. Well, my best in-game moment comes from a game I played earlier this year. It was from Control. I absolutely loved that game. Now, I think, listeners, if you played Control, you probably will know immediately what scene I'm thinking of. I'm not going to get into spoilers too much, but I will mention that it is from the Ashtray Maze sequence. Everything about it is freaking amazing. It's a part in the game that you can't access until you get to that part in the story. Like, you'll pass it a couple times, but to actually get through it, it comes at a certain time of the game. It's just, the music hits, and it's this maze. It's this whole sequence, but it's called the Ashtray Maze, and everything works so well, from you fighting the enemies to the speed of the music. It's like you're playing a music video almost, or just like the music just goes along well, and it actually subtly will like speed up or slow down depending on how fast or slow you go through the sequence. It's pretty wild. So this whole music, like, it's the same music everybody listens to, but it's so seamless with how it plays while you're playing that part of the game. It's really
that is
fun.
Cool. I love so much when music is integrated into a game to such a level, where it moves between things or like interacts like with what's physically happening in the game. Like, I eat that up. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing. If you ever get to play that game, like, I guarantee you're gonna love that sequence. It's so freaking cool.
I have to get there eventually.
Yeah, it's when you play it, you're just like, I just want to play that all over again for the first time. And there is kind of, you can kind of play it again. There's a little another part later on in the game where you can find that sequence and kind of play it again, but nothing beats that first time.
It's not the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same. It's you don't get to relive experiences for the first time, because everything after that, it comes with like expectations and nostalgia and things like that. So
for real, yes, so true. Should we go to our best game?
We can do that.
Since we're kind of sticking in the game realm.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's okay if you have a top couple, because I do. So
yeah, well, it was so hard because I think like this year I've started so many new games, but I haven't like beaten many of the new games, because I just kind of keep like weaving in and out of them, kind of thing, and like until they're done. But my favorite I think is I think I'll have to give it to Pokemon Legends Arceus, just because it's so different than any other Pokemon game. And I hate to put Pokemon in there twice, because there's so many other things that like I've done and enjoyed this year. But like when that game came out, it was the beginning, or it was the end of January, I think. It was such a long time ago now. But like it was just so refreshing to get to do things in a different way. It breathed a lot of life into it, I think. But I think if I had to pick something that wasn't Pokemon, is probably Dreamlight Valley. I think so.
Yes.
I think so. I can't stay away from it.
No.
Which is good. I hope it continues to capture me that in that way for the rest of its lifetime.
Yes. I mean, there's never been a Disney game quite like this, in the way it combines all the elements of other games that I think we both have enjoyed over the years. It's fantastic. That's definitely one of my favorite games, but I kind of put it in a little side category because it's just kind of like my favorite ongoing game.
Ooh,
Because
there
there's
you
still
go,
so
yeah.
much more to be told about the story and still being in early access, and I just,
About to say the game's not even actually out yet. So.
yeah. But already it's fantastic. So I was so excited. I'll just continue talking about Dreamlight Valley. Why not?
Okay.
It was just so exciting to have a game like that. I mean, to me, I feel like it's been so many years since we've had like a good Disney game. Like Disney, like really kind of stepped away from games for a long time. But I remember like Epic Mickey, I thought was really cool for a while when they had their online not really multiplayer type game, VMK, Virtual Magic Kingdom, during its like I think it
Okay,
was
yeah.
during the celebration like 2005 or whatnot, where you got to wear your little outfits and like kind of hang out in the park and play games. And then there's also Disney Infinity, which I thought was fun, but there was so much potential in that game, and then it just died off. But to see this, I'm like, Dreamlight Valley is fantastic. It's like a combination of all these games with Animal Crossing, with so much other like simulation type games. It's all there. You get to live our Disney life in the game.
And it's absolutely geared to like our generation too.
100%.
Like I know kids like it because I have a nephew that likes it. I have like students who will bring it up often. I know that they're enjoying it too, but I haven't seen anybody love it more than like us, like our generation of people.
Yeah, I would agree. It's just, yeah. So that, I would definitely give it a special award, my favorite ongoing game. Now, I did finish a lot of games this year. They were in my backlog. I think I finished a little over 20 games. So I played a lot of games this year.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And I was like, besides Dreamlight Valley, I guess the only game that I'm slowly getting through is Horizon Forbidden West. So that doesn't make my list because I haven't finished it, but maybe we'll see if it makes my list next year. But the 3 games I played that I just absolutely fell in love with, I had to narrow it down to 3. I couldn't do any
Okay, that's
less
okay.
than that. Well, so I already mentioned my favorite sequence was in the game Control. Control was a fantastic game. It exceeded my expectations. I thought it already seemed like it had an intriguing story before even playing the game, and the mechanics seemed kind of interesting, having kind of like certain abilities, and then also like it has so much depth to it. Like the story itself like is really intriguing. There's so much mystery behind it, but then it's one of those games where I love reading the lore, where you find different documents, different recordings, and it just helps make the world even more immersive, so much more real. You get to just slowly uncover the story different ways like that. It was an excellent game. It's in the same universe because it's a Remedy game, so it's in the same universe as Alan Wake, and we got the announcement of Alan Wake 2. I think it's supposed to come out next year. Alan Wake seems a little bit more like a horror game. I'm not sure if I'm going to play that one or not, but
Yeah, that one may not quite be for you.
but I really enjoyed Control. It was a lot of fun. I mean, because you kind of basically have superpowers in it and kind of evolve those off, so it's a blast in that respect, but also just the world building is incredible in that game. Then another game, which is an older game, is What Remains of Edith Finch.
I remember you telling me about this one.
Yes. Yeah. That one's such a short game. I think it takes you maybe about 2 or so hours to complete, but just, it's one of those games where I think people call them like the walking simulator games. I hate using that term because it just makes it like,
But
I think
people
it just
who call
doesn't
games
give,
that like they don't get what's intended out of the game, so they think that's all they're doing, you know.
yeah. And like, yeah, it's a disservice to a game to just call it a walking simulator. Because I'm like, what are you doing in most games? You are walking, pretty much so. But there's so much more to it. But it's just, you're uncovering these like, it's like a depressing game. But it's told so well, and just about the family, and Edith Finch is telling the story, and just, it's so unique. It uses like a couple different art styles and different gameplay mechanics as you like uncover each family member's story, and it's just has such a bittersweet ending to it. But it's just like when you play it, you're just like, wow. Just take a moment to just appreciate and also be a little upset at what you just played, but it's beautiful.
I really like games that can have those kinds of endings though, that aren't just kind of wrap everything up and everybody's happy and everything's fine. I enjoy those endings that really make you feel, that make you wish you hadn't like experienced it, you know, like good God Almighty, we could do an episode on games that have made me cry.
Crushing
like,
games. Yeah.
Yeah, crushing games. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But I'm like, nope, the game did its job. It did a wonderful job of telling its story, and it was an incredible experience. And then I will mention one other game, which we've talked about a couple times, I've hinted at a couple times, Lake, where you spend time in your like small hometown, and you basically your parents are basically on your vacation. Your dad is like the mailman, so you apparently get to easily take over his job just delivering mail throughout the town.
That's how that works, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. That's totally how it works. But it's just, that game is the definition of relaxation for me. I have never experienced a game like that where I could just feel completely relaxed playing a video game. And just, it's just so chill. It was so fun. I know people might find that game boring, but I loved it. I loved delivering mail around town and just having conversations with the locals. It was just a blast, and it's a game that I want to play a million times.
It's on my list of like indies to play. I've had it downloaded on my computer for good God Almighty, forever.
Yes,
But
no.
I'm really bad about getting to my computer games, so I will get there though. I will.
I know. So many games, so little time.
Oh, seriously. I need another summer.
Let's see. I know we've talked a lot about video games. Are there any other final comments we want to make about any video games we've played throughout the year?
There's been so much, and I wish the year was longer, so I could like try to finish the ones that I started this year, because like I started like Midnight Suns. I'm having a blast at that game. That game just takes a lot of time. Like, it's not like one of those things where you can sit down and play it for 10 minutes or an hour or something. You need to dig in. And Sonic Frontiers as well. I'm having a blast with that. It's like the best Sonic game I've played since like the adventure games back when I was like 11.
It's bringing you back to those
it's
childhood memories.
Yes, and it's so good, and just like the things they're doing with like these classic Sonic characters, they just feel right. Like they're it's so good. So maybe someday.
Yeah. Okay. What category should we continue with next?
Let's now. You said I think you said that you didn't have anything for best book or comic.
Yeah, not really. The only thing I'll mention is I did make my goal of the year. I had set a New Year resolution to read at least 5 books, and I so far have read 6. So yes.
Well, good.
Yes.
Like real books, I haven't read a lot of this year. I have several sitting on my nightstand, in various places within the books. I have a bookmark, but I haven't finished any. A lot of my reading this year has been in comic form, because they're a little quicker to get through. I don't have to tell you that. But my favorite thing as far as like the comic book world this year has been all the X-Men stuff. Like just all
I
of
need
it.
to catch up.
Yeah, you'll get there. But just every X-Men event that's happened, most of the books, just like the stories within them, have just been fantastic. And I hope that they can keep that going as long as they can. I'm scared a little bit.
One can hope. Oh no.
Yeah. I'm always worried. that the next decision they make with this like Dawn of X thing, like the whole Krakoa stage, I'm always worried that the next thing they do is gonna sink the ship. But it's such a big ship right now. Like, I don't want it to go anywhere. It needs to stay around.
Is there an estimated time about how long this will last? This whole era, I guess.
No, not particularly. I don't think. Like here in the next like month or so, we're gonna be starting like the next portion of the era, and it starts with the Sins of Sinister event, where basically like Mr. Sinister has found a way to basically control all timelines. And he like adapts those timelines to fit him. So it's just a universe ruled by Mr. Sinister, which if you don't know Mr. Sinister, I'm sorry, like you need that sass and that mess in your life. He's fantastic. He's a great villain. He's got an obsession with genetics, Cyclops, and capes.
And like very particular people. Yes.
Very particular people. He has a cat. Did you know he has a cat that is like a Scott Summers cat?
Oh no. Oh,
yeah,
no.
yeah. It's a little kid. It's a little cat that has like a Cyclops visor, that like legitimately has Cyclops' powers, and it talks
obsessed.
too. Yeah, the cat talks, but like the cat refuses to talk to Sinister.
Seems on brand.
It just kind of like lays around all day, and like if Sinister's like asking it questions, it just kind of like looks at Sinister, and kind of goes back to its business. He's like, no, it's very cat-like behavior.
Yeah,
and it's very Scott Summers-like behavior. Yeah, so it fits the profile of everybody involved.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know that. I didn't know that until like this year that Sinister has this cat, and that didn't shock me one bit.
No, yeah,
of
definitely
course
news, but yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's taken Scott's genetics and put it into a damn house cat. Gross. He's nasty.
Yep, that sums him up perfectly. Yep. Oh gosh.
Okay, moving on.
Yes, moving on from.
Do we want to do TV show next?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. I have 2 possible candidates.
Okay. I have 2 as well.
You also have 2? Okay, you do yours first. I've taken up a lot of time. Go ahead.
Oh, no, it's not fine. It's so I will say I really enjoyed the 2nd season of Only Murders in the Building. That show is absolutely fantastic.
We're in the middle of the 1st season.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I was hoping you were gonna watch the show. Yes.
Yeah. We started eventually, but we're not like binging it. We're taking our time on it. It's been such a fun ride.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I'm so glad that you're enjoying it and you're watching it because it's definitely just a fun ride and I think it'll be good too if you're like slowly watching it and then if you pick up immediately the 2nd season, it definitely helps because. Like, I watched it when it came out, and then I had to, like, kind of quickly, like, rewatch some of the first seasons. Yeah, and to, like, refresh my memory on certain parts, because it's amazing with callbacks to things from the first season as well, and it's a great time. I mean, the cast. It's just fantastic.
For real.
I was just surprised it works so well. And I'm like, Selena Gomez with them, it's just great.
And that's the thing, like, the fact that Selena Gomez works so well with those other 2, like, I love them all, but the fact that they work so well together, like, who thought of that? They need an award just for that decision.
Yeah. No, they did a great job with that. And, like, I think a lot of people, honestly, were surprised that Selena Gomez could do that. And I'm like, well, I honestly thought she was one of the better actors on Disney Channel, in my opinion. And I thought she was absolutely hilarious in her show, Wizards of Waverly Place. So I was like, I'm ready for more Selena Gomez. And it worked out really well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you want me to mention my other show quickly?
I'll throw one in real quick and then we'll go back and forth. So let's see. So my favorite of the year, I think, my absolute favorite, I think, is House of the Dragon. It was so nice to see more Game of Thrones, first off. But to see Game of Thrones go back to, like, I don't know, kind of like its original feel, I suppose. And not like the end of the show feel. But, like, the cast for it, waiting week to week, it didn't feel like I was waiting, like, forever. Like, oh my god, I can't wait to see what happens next kind of thing. Everything was just paced out just right, I think. And like the ending they gave us, and even like finishing the first season, I went out almost immediately and bought the book, which just it's not like a real book. It like it just chronicles like the timeline. It's just a history book basically. There's no like narrative being told. It's just history. And so because I don't want to wait for multiple more seasons to like find out where this goes, like I just need to know. And I haven't even reached the part in the book where like the events in the show are taking place. Like that doesn't happen until like at least halfway through, I think.
Oh.
There's a lot that comes before, and it's between the book and then the show, it's been such a good time, like diving back into the Game of Thrones lore and stuff like that. I've really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see how the second season kicks off. Like, because knowing what I know, because I spoiled myself, like this next season is, if people thought like some things that happened in some of the seasons of Game of Thrones were just like awful, like terrible. We haven't hit that yet. We're gonna get some worse things happening in House of the Dragon. So buckle up. We'll just say that.
What a tease there. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I never just really got into Game of Thrones. I know I've heard so much hype about it, but I never watched the show originally, or haven't watched House of the Dragon either. But I'm glad that it seems like they're doing their fans right with this new show, so that's good.
Well, it doesn't have the people who wrote the first show on board at all.
So that
at all
makes it more enticing for people.
Yes.
I think.
Yes. No. After what they did to the last two seasons, and they stopped listening to the author of the book and everything. Like, no, people are kind of done with them, and HBO I don't think was willing to give them that second chance, which is great though because the way that they're doing things, it's because in the original Game of Thrones there's a lot of like mature things happening, like just regular viewership stuff. Like there are trigger warnings constantly. It's rough. Like the shock value is through the roof a lot of times. But in House of the Dragon, you get the same feel, but they're not showing gross things just for the sake of showing gross things. And if something awful is happening, it's more like nuanced. It's not like, look at it, it's happening, look at it. It's more just like, there's a heavy implication that what you're seeing is probably what you think. And they're not like making you watch. It's just like, this happening, we're moving on. Like, you need to know that this happened so that we can move on. And it's a lot better to watch. It's more like story driven. Those things that are part of the story, it's more like, we're not here to like make you uncomfortable. We're here to show you that this is a thing. Moving on. Now we'll show you why it mattered. So it's better, I think. I wasn't so squeamish when I watched this one compared to like certain scenes of Game of Thrones where I was like, oh my god, oh gross, ugh.
The like terrible shock value like that just in your face.
Yeah. Just they're not really playing the shock value thing like hardly at all. I would say anyway. Yeah,
definitely a different change. Yeah.
Yeah, a welcome one. A welcome one.
Well, my second show is completely different from that. Much more lighthearted, but also still has some darker elements too. And it was definitely a show that, I mean, I know I've mentioned quite a few times on the podcast, I've had a lot of severe MCU fatigue, and just, I'm still interested by some things and everything, but I've been hesitant. And one of the shows I was hesitant about, but I really enjoyed, and we did a whole episode on it, was Miss Marvel. That was one of my favorite shows of the year.
It's so good. It was so good. Yes. I could just watch that show over and over again. I can't wait until the Marvels comes out so we can see like that cliffhanger first off. But like I want to see what's happening like with those characters now. Like how are we entwining them all together? I want to see that.
Yeah. And I know it's fighting words for some people, but I like Brie Larson. I liked her as Captain Marvel, and I'm ready to see more of her. So
people need to lay off that woman. Seriously. Come for both of us. Like, yeah.
We'll leave that to our the Marvels discussion in the new year.
Oh, yes. Okay, so we ready for my last one?
Yes.
I'm going to go with Wednesday.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's so many good things about that show.
It is so good. Now, before I watched it, because I watched it after, like I didn't see it like the week it came out, or even I think 2 weeks. Like I saw it on my own time, and I saw a lot of people who had some criticisms of the show. And when I started watching the show, I was like, "Oh, I get it. Oh, I get where you're coming from. Okay." It didn't. None of the criticisms, like I understood them, I got them, but they didn't really stop me from enjoying the show. You know, people complained that it was like, if they wanted to do a second Sabrina series, they should have just done a second Sabrina series. Because some of it is very Sabrina, but some of it is also kind of like weird Harry Potter vibes. You know, like some of the character dynamics, they were like, oh, that's not very Addams Family, things like that. But I think you have to take the whole season as the feel and not like nitpick certain parts and certain character moments, because most of those moments get resolved. You know, like it's character growth or breathing new life into something. So I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And Jenna Ortega just blew it out of the damn water as far as like her portrayal of Wednesday. So like they'll give us more, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, that's so great. Yeah, it seemed like a show that just had like a new twist to it. So I was expecting it to probably be a little different and everything. And yeah, no, I've heard it from so many people that like they've been binging it, or you know, they've enjoyed it, and I'm definitely curious about it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna watch it, but I'm glad that it has done really well, it seems.
Yeah. There are so many like iconic moments in that show. It's only like 8 episodes long. It's not so long. But it is, if you decide to watch it, like it's a good time. It's a good time. And the characters are so good. It's like a mystery thing, you know, like something's happened and she's trying to figure it out kind of thing. While her normal teenage things happen around her, stuff like that. But it's a good time. I'm glad they made it.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Should we move on to film now? The movies we've watched this year?
I think so. And I'll go first because I'm sure your insights into things are going to be way better than mine are. In fact, under this category, under favorite film moments, I only wrote one word with a period after it. So I'm just gonna say my word, and we're gonna laugh about it, and then we can move on to you, okay?
Okay, I wonder.
And my favorite film moment was Wanda.
Okay, I was hoping that was gonna be your word. Yes.
That's all. That's enough. That's enough of that.
That is perfect. That's okay. I'll keep my film moment short because I don't want to give too much away now, because this is from a movie that was one of my favorites of the year. And listeners, we will be talking about this movie. We'll have a whole episode dedicated to this film, and that film is Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I will just say right now, the rock scene. That's all I will say. The rock scene is...
The rock scene?
Yeah, rock scene,
okay.
Yes.
I'll keep that in mind then.
Yes, it's beautiful.
I have yet to watch it, so I'm excited too.
Yes. I'm ready to watch it again, so we'll have a great discussion, I know, about this film. I'm so excited.
I've been wanting to watch it like since it came out. I just haven't ever gotten the like. I've had a chance to. I just haven't like taken the chance to watch it. But it's been like in the back of my brain all year. I'm so excited to like finally get to sit down and watch it because Chelsea sent it to me, so I get to watch it now.
I cannot wait to discuss this movie with you, and I hope our listeners will enjoy it. And like I said, that will be coming sooner than you think. We will definitely be bringing that episode to you in the new year.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So I guess that kind of hints is one of my favorite movies of the year. But we can go back and forth because I have a couple of movies I enjoyed watching this year. What about you, Wade?
A lot of the stuff, like a lot of the movies that I watched this year were mostly like Marvel DC stuff. And I don't like, I could talk all day about them if I needed to. But as far as like normal people movies go, I don't really remember like watching any like new stuff, which is like a bit of a shame on me kind of moment. But it is what it is. But that's also why I'm so excited to get to watch everything all at once, because like it's been a while since I've sat down and just enjoyed just a regular movie. So I look forward to that.
Yeah. Hey, you shouldn't be hating on yourself though by saying you're watching normal people movies. Movies are for everyone. There's definitely plenty of movies, and it is okay if you like a particular kind of movie and you watched a lot of Marvel movies. That is okay.
No, I did just remember there was another movie we watched together this year that actually turned out to be an extremely good movie that we both enjoyed a lot.
Well, I think in two. It's either Hocus Pocus 2 or Nosferatu.
Nope, we did it. Well, yes, it was another one we did an episode over.
Okay. Oh no. What else
Fairly recently. October.
Oh no, I should be ashamed of myself. Oh, Rear Window. Yes.
Yeah, Rear Window. Yeah.
Yes.
I loved Rear Window.
Such a great film.
And I was surprised by how much I liked it. I think about it like every so often. Like it was good. It was really good. And I think, and because of that, I think you want to do another Hitchcock movie next October, right?
Yes, I would very much like to do that.
Fantastic, then.
Awesome. Well, I really like watching films, so apparently I consumed a lot of media. Like, listeners, I really do have a full-time job, and I do other things too. So I did play over 20 games. I've been keeping track of all the movies I've watched. I watched over 130 films this year.
Were those just like repeats and new films, I'm guessing?
Yeah, so it was both, but out of the 130 plus films, 97 were new to me films this year.
Wow.
Yes. So every year around the Oscars, my wife and I try to watch like all of them. So that was a lot of new movies around the time earlier this year. And then but for a good part of the year, we had been watching all the DCOM movies.
Nice.
Yeah. We're not through them all yet. We got through probably at least 50 plus of them so far, but it's a lot.
Did you watch all the Xenon movies?
Yes, we have now.
Okay, great. Fantastic.
Yes. And of course, we had to watch all the Halloween Town movies, which...
Well, duh.
Some are better than others. We don't talk about that one at the end, but...
No, we don't.
No. There's so many strange ones because growing up, I actually hadn't seen a lot of the Disney Channel movies, or at least like the ones made prior to like the mid 2000s. So it was a whole new experience to me, and it's... we keep talking about it, but listeners, we're going to have an episode later on at some point dedicated to Disney Channel original movies. Just you wait. Because there's a lot to unpack from those movies.
We might have some special guests on that episode too.
Yes, we just might. So another tease. This episode is full of plenty of teases for the new year, as well as reflecting on this past year. Now, another movie, so I did watch a lot of movies. It was a mix of movies that came out this year and last year. And one of the other ones that I really enjoyed was The Batman. I was very surprised, but like originally seeing the trailer for that and everything, I was like, this looks really interesting. I will admit, like, I am not a DC fan at all. I'm not really much of a Batman fan, and it's just, I've seen most of the other Batman movies, and it's just kind of like, okay, it's a thing. But I love this movie. I think it's also because it was like an early type Batman. It was just more of it was like a crime mystery thriller film.
It was way more like detective Batman than we usually get, and I love that.
Yes. Yeah, that was fantastic. It also gave me so many vibes to a David Fincher film like Seven or something like that, and I love David Fincher's work, and I know it was by Matt Reeves, but it was just a great film. And I'd been kind of thinking about it because that movie is kind of long, but I think it did its job. I think every minute mattered for that film, and it worked really well.
I agree.
One other thing about that movie is just that for some reason Gotham itself just felt more real in it compared to some of the other Batman movies. Like, it felt more alive. You got to see more of Gotham, or at least the people in Gotham.
Right, yeah. Well, they focus more on like the street level stuff. Like, and like the mob crimes and stuff like that. Like, and that's important for Gotham. Because usually, like, you know, Batman also has, like, super villains that he's running around chasing. But, like, he's doing that at the same time that he's also dealing with the street-level gangs and stuff like that, too. Like, they don't take a break while he's off fighting Mr. Freeze somewhere. He manages to work it all out together, which is just part of Batman.
Yeah. I was excited to watch that movie, and I'm glad it ended up being a great film overall, so... Definitely recommend people watch that. I believe it's still on HBO Max, so it's worth a watch. I do have one other film. Do you have any other films that you forgot to mention?
Oh, I don't think so. Go ahead.
Okay, so my last film is a much older film. It's called Mississippi Burning. It came out in 1988, and I watched this earlier in the year. It was actually one of the films that was leaving HBO Max at the time, because there's like a whole section on there where you can see films that are like leaving, and we were just going through them one day and we're like, what's this movie? It seems interesting. It had quite the cast. It was, let me see if I can pull that up. It was like one of the lead actors is Willem Dafoe, so seeing him in a like good guy role in a sense was very interesting.
Wow, I bet.
Yeah, so this movie basically, it's like a crime thriller. It's loosely based on the 1964 murder investigation of 3 civil rights workers in Mississippi. And it's just such this like dark and gritty film that like, I don't know, like watching this now, like it's really well made, really like you can just feel the like mystery and just how messed up like the area was with like murdering civil rights workers and just like trying to hide their death and like hide their bodies in the swamp and whatnot, and just like they're just trying to uncover like what happened in this town and all the secrets. And it was just a really powerful film that was just I was just like, dang, just watching it now, like it still holds a lot of like it's still like relevant in a sense, and it was a really well made film. And I think Michael Rooker was in it. He plays one of the like bad police officers, I think so. So you see him as that, and then you have Willem Dafoe, and you're like, oh, you know, he's totally gonna be somebody evil. And they're like, no, he's like the good guy. He's the one trying to uncover everything. You're like, what is this movie? This is incredible.
What a weird turntable.
Yes. And there are quite a other very well-known actors in that movie as well. I just can't think off the top of my head. But it was just a film that really stuck out to me, and I was glad that we watched it. And it was just, yeah, it was interesting.
Well, good.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the highlights. I know I said I watched a lot of movies. I could probably talk about all of them, but we don't have time for that, so.
Well, if I could give a highlight,
yes,
one of my favorite parts of the year was when we sat down to play It Takes Two together.
Yes.
Yeah,
it was a great time.
That was a great time. That was so good. Have you played it with Amy?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I need to play it with Brandon at some point because I think he'd like it. But that was
okay,
I'm so glad we did that. I'm so glad we did that.
It was so unique, just each like level being just like a different type of gameplay.
It was so different. Yeah, everything was so different.
Yeah, and just being able to play with somebody else that you know just makes it all the more enjoyable, and just like yelling, laughing, just being like, what is going on? Oh my gosh.
Especially in our sillier moments when we were like antagonizing each other.
Oh yes, and you beat me at all the mini games.
You got me once, didn't you? I think you got me once.
Okay, maybe once, but how many do we play?
Not all of them. Did you see how many we were missing at the end?
I know, we did miss a lot. That was for sure, but it was great. I hit you quite a few times with the snowballs, though.
You did get me with the snowballs a lot. Like you just like rush past and smack. Gone. Just a drive by.
Oh, gosh.
Let's see. Any other like surprises this year that happened?
Surprises or highlights in general from the year?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, well, surprise wise, I think it kind of just went up. Like, the only thing I can loosely think about is that, I don't know, like, I really enjoyed Miss Marvel. Like I already talked about, like, it was a big surprise to me. I just wasn't sure what that show was going to be about, or, you know, I mean, like, we got like ideas from the trailer and stuff, but I was just like, either this is just going to go totally one way, just very disappointing, or just too ridiculous. But it was great time.
It really was. Like, I'm so glad that one in specific worked out the way it did.
I mean, and plus, biggest surprise in general, that we got Disney Dreamlight Valley. Like, that game came out of nowhere, and it was just bam. Excellent. Do you have any other highlights in the year? I'm trying to think of a couple more.
I'm thinking something that surprised me a lot is really more of like an anticipated thing. Was the announcement of the Mega Man Battle Network collection game. The Battle Network games are like my favorite Mega Man games of all time, and they're like, well, here's all 10 of them. Have fun. Like, they don't come out until like March or something, I think. But like, they announced it and I died. Like, I'm so excited. So freaking excited.
Okay, so I did think of another highlight for me. Well, more of like on a personal level. It really had nothing to do with media or anything per se, but like, I do love to travel, and my goal is to go with like Amy and I to travel to all 50 states. And so this year we like together, like, cause we have like, there's plenty of like, there's quite a few states where like I've been like with my family or something, or Amy's been with her family, but together, like earlier this year, we made collectively to 30 states together. And I think by the end of this year, it's been like 32 potentially like states out of 50 together. So our goal is to keep going to more, but overall, we did travel to 21 states this year, so
There you go. Do you plan on going to Hawaii and Alaska?
definitely. I don't think it'll be in the next year, but in the coming
When-
years.
When you decide to go to Hawaii, please let me know.
Okay.
We can make a double trip because I've always wanted to go to Hawaii.
Yes,
seems so fun.
definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Well,
know. I think
if we're gonna go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, no, Hawaii, yeah, it seems amazing. I've always wanted to go to Hawaii, but honestly, parts of Alaska seem freaking amazing as well. It'd be so cool
Well,
to do.
Alaska seems like a good place to like. I don't know. I don't really know like if they have a lot of like tourism areas in Alaska. But like just like the environment of Alaska seems really cool. Like I like to go and like look and visit and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, there's some really cool national parks to visit. They're really well known
Mm-hmm.
for their national parks there. And then, I mean, even like doing an Alaskan cruise or even taking the train down certain parts of Alaska, that seems like the way to go.
Oh yeah, that would be nice. I love trains.
Yes.
I love it. Well, if we're gonna talk like things like that, I mean, I got engaged. I suppose that's pretty cool.
Suppose, yes, that is very exciting. Yes.
So I mean,
It's
and
very
that's not
exciting. Yes.
that's not like a highlight of the year. That's like a highlight of my life. So yeah.
Yeah.
So still no date, still no anything yet. Maybe next autumn. I think that's kind of where we're headed. But finding a place to do it, that's hard. That's
Yeah,
the
there's
sucky part, I think. Everything else seems so
Yeah.
easy compared to that.
Yeah, once you have that, everything just starts falling into place. But no, yeah, I understand. It's a lot to plan.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very exciting.
Soon.
Yes. Yes.
Hopefully. Okay, well, do we want to try to... Can we talk about all of our biggest anticipations for next year? Like, do we want to try to fit that in? There's a lot.
I know, there's a lot.
Do you want to do, like, rapid fire? Just, like, toss it out.
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Okay, go ahead.
Chia.
You say chia?
Chia, yeah. The
Like-
little girl that
like
turns
Chia
into like the
Pets?
coconut.
Oh my god, I'm
No.
thinking like Chia Pets. No,
the
that
ukulele
game.
girl.
That game. Yes, oh my god. Okay, yes, indeed, absolutely. Mega Man. Boom. Okay.
I guess Hogwarts Legacy, maybe.
Hogwarts Legacy getting their act together. Boom.
Yep. I don't know. That's pretty much I have. Like Jedi Survivor.
Jedi Survivor. And I told you I just bought that game for like $7.50.
Oh, the
Like so
the
I can
fallen
play it
order
for
one?
real. Yeah. Like the deluxe edition. It was like $8.
Ooh, nice.
So I was like, okay, like we'll do that.
So worth it.
The new Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy game because I'm a music nerd and it's what I do.
The Marvels. Seeing those
The
three together in a
Marvels.
movie.
Yes. Ant-Man and Wasp, Quantumania. Mm-hmm. Like that game.
Oh.
Did you hear what the director said about that movie? He said, have you seen the other two Ant-Man movies?
Yeah, I've seen them.
Okay. He recently said that like for this movie, their job or his job, what he was tired of doing with these movies is like he was done being a palate cleanser.
Oh yes, I did read that.
So he
Yeah.
made this movie how he wanted to make it, and like I wet myself. I am so excited because I thought the other two movies were really good, but like I understand what he'd say about being a palate cleanser. You know,
it was just, like, the
something light
lighthearted,
and
yeah,
funny,
just-
and no, I want to see like we're gonna get to see like super serious, like
Gonna see some
deadly
important
Ant-Man story
stuff happening, yeah.
So that.
Oh, do you want me to say another one or you?
Yeah, you go ahead. I'm trying to think of another one.
Okay,
sure
Spider-Man
there's more.
Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh, how
Heck
could I
yes.
not? Okay. Oh well, off of that, the Spider-Man sequel for the PlayStation.
Oh yes, for real.
Mm-hmm.
What about the Wolverine game? I don't know when that's supposed to come out either. Probably not. Way after.
I think that's
but-
after. I think that's sometime after Spider-Man.
Definitely,
But yeah, that for sure. That for sure. Pokemon DLC. Yeah. See if they mess it up.
Secret Invasion. I want to.
Oh my God! Secret Invasion. For some reason I thought it was supposed to come out like December or January. Did they push it back? Maybe they did.
All I saw was early 2023, so that could literally mean anything. But maybe they've
Well,
released a
it-
date since then. But
It's probably our next show. I think it's supposed to be.
I can't wait. I just hope it doesn't disappoint.
Yes.
It should be great.
For real. Oh my gosh.
It's hard to say them quickly.
I know. I'm sure there are so many more. Like, I'm just trying to think of like games that I have pre-ordered even. Ah, geez, I don't know.
What about Forspoken? That game comes out early next year.
Oh, yeah, they released a demo.
Yeah.
The demo's really cool. Like, the battle system is, I mean, it's an action game, so like the battle system doesn't look surprising like when you're seeing it, but the controls are different. The control system is not what you're used to.
Yeah.
So like playing through the demo, I'm like sitting there with my controller like, oh my god, wait, how do I do this again? Like in the middle of combat, like I'm gonna die. But no, it looks really fun so far. So that. Oh my god, Final Fantasy 16. Jesus Christ.
Yes, we cannot forget about that.
Good Lord Almighty. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. Can't wait for that one.
Yeah, that one looks really cool. And I don't
Yeah.
say that about Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a Marvel movie that we missed that I've been like excited about for a long time.
Yeah, I don't remember because they've gotten so many have gotten pushed back. I'm getting confused on which ones come out what year.
Yeah. Seriously.
There must be a very obvious one we haven't mentioned. Guardians of the Galaxy also comes out, I think, next year.
Oh, yeah, there we go. It comes out in May. Yeah.
Yes, there we go.
And that one, it's going to emotionally destroy me. I already know that.
And then the last one for me is just can't wait to travel more. That's just my overall looking forward to next year.
I look forward to hopefully getting to do that in general. It's hard to do that as a teacher. It is, but I'd like to. I would like to. Okay, and I think that wraps up our year, Chelsea.
I think so. It's a jam-packed year.
Watch us. We'll remember stuff. We'll remember stuff, and we'll like throw it on Twitter or something.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sure we forgot 100 things.
Yeah. No, there's
least
definitely
I did,
so
I'm
much
sure.
to talk about. Only so little time, but yeah, I think we covered a great chunk of it and stuff we're looking forward to in the new year. Listeners, let us know what you're looking forward to in the new year and things that you have enjoyed for this year as well. As always, thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. Now be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. Share it with a friend who you might think like it. Our podcast is available like anywhere you get your podcast.
Literally anywhere.
And we also upload our episodes to YouTube as well as other various videos. You'll probably see more gameplay videos and whatnot from us in the future on our channel, so be on the lookout for that.
And if you'd like, if there's something like from us that you want to see, like even if it is gameplay, thoughts, opinions, anything, let us know. Like, we want to give you what you want, so let us know what you want, and we'll put it out there for you.
Definitely. Yes, and we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at PodDemastered. And you can also send us an email at demasteredpodcast@gmail.com. I promise you, if you actually are worried about sending us an email and thinking we won't respond, we will respond to you. So don't worry, like, we're here for you guys and we're willing to listen. So yes, send us an email, send us a message, DM, whatnot. Just, like I said, this is just our year in review as we wrap up the year. Just thank you again so much to all of our listeners, and we will see you in the new year.